Have you ever dreamt of a place where stories whisper on the breeze and moonlight illuminates shelves of ancient books? A sanctuary where time itself seems to slow, and the scent of aged paper and leather comforts you like a warm blanket. Tonight, we invite you to step through the ancient doors of the Moonlit Library. Leave the hurried world behind and enter a realm of peaceful stillness and quiet magic. Here, nestled in cozy alcoves, surrounded by the soft glow of slumbering tales, you will find a symphony of soft voices, ready to guide you into a deep and restful sleep. So, settle in, take a slow, deep breath, and let the whispers of the Moonlit Library carry you into your dreams. Chapter 1: The Enchantment of the Midnight Library. The clock struck midnight, and the world outside slipped into a gentle hush. Beneath the velvet sweep of the night sky, the ancient doors of the Moonlit Library creaked open slowly, as if inviting an old friend inside. The heavy oak panels shimmered faintly in the moonlight, their intricate carvings catching tiny glints of silver that danced across their surface. A soft glow from within spilled out through Gothic windows, arched in stained glass, depicting scenes of celestial wonder, casting patterns that flickered like whispers across the stone steps leading up to this enchanted sanctuary. As you stepped forward, a scent enveloped you, the familiar aroma of aged paper mingled with leather bindings and faint hints of vanilla and cedar. It was a comforting fragrance that seemed to wrap around you like an old blanket on a cold night. The air felt thick with memories, stories held tight in every book's spine, and each breath brought a quiet reassurance that here, in this sacred place, stories waited patiently for their turn to be told. The doors swung inward without force or noise, revealing us towering high into shadowed heights. The shelves stretched endlessly into darkness but were illuminated by soft pools of moonlight spilling through windows above. It was as if time itself had slowed here, a realm where past and present blurred under the spell of midnight serenity. Walking through these hushed corridors was like entering another world, a place where silence was alive with anticipation rather than emptiness. The floor beneath your feet was smooth stone worn gentle by countless footsteps over centuries, yet even in its age it felt solid and reassuring beneath your steps. Alongside these aisles stood cozy alcoves draped with plush cushions and softly flickering candle sconces whose flames danced gently without ever threatening to extinguish. Every detail contributed to an atmosphere neither hurried nor tense, only peaceful stillness infused with quiet magic, the faint rustle of pages turning on their own, shadows shifting subtly as if alive, occasional whispers caught from nowhere, remnants of stories waiting patiently for someone willing to listen. Approaching one particular corner bathed in moonlight, you noticed an especially large bookshelf, the sort that seemed almost alive itself, with cascades of books spilling over its edges like waterfalls frozen in time. Here lay volumes bound in rich leather embossed with gold leaf, each one glowing softly from within as though lit by some internal lantern's gentle pulse. You reached out hesitantly at first, fingers brushing along spines that radiated calmness rather than urgency, a soothing warmth emanating from each volume as your hand settled on one titled The Meadow's Whisper. With a careful pull, it slid free smoothly into your grasp. Opening it revealed pages filled with delicate ink illustrations depicting rolling fields dotted with wildflowers under endless blue skies. In this luminous volume, the glow not blinding but tender, you sensed tranquility beyond words, grasses swaying lazily under breezes, bees humming softly amidst blossoms, clouds drifting slowly overhead, all whispering peaceful messages only understood when listened to quietly. Other books nearby seemed similarly infused with light. They beckoned gently toward comfort rather than curiosity or excitement. Some emitted a faint shimmer akin to starlight trapped within their covers, others pulsed lightly like heartbeat rhythms aligning perfectly with your own breathing pattern. Settling into a nearby armchair upholstered in plush velvet deep blue reminiscent of twilight itself, you found yourself enveloped by this gentle radiance, a sanctuary crafted for relaxation and sleep alike. As you leaned back comfortably amidst these glowing volumes, they responded silently, increasingly subtle but unmistakable, as if recognizing your desire for calmness beyond mere reading. They offered their inner light not just for illumination but for soothing souls weary from day's burdens. The library's magic lay precisely here, in its ability to transform mere stories into vessels carrying peace directly into your heart. Each whispering page played softly upon your senses, tales not told aloud but gently shared through soft murmurs only heard when still enough, and tired enough, to listen deeply. Time dissolved further within this cocoon of serenity until all that remained was composed silence punctuated only by these quiet whispers, a lullaby woven from words and light designed solely for sleep's embrace. In this sacred space between waking and dreaming stood an invitation extended by centuries-old walls. Surrender now to tranquility. Let stories carry you onward toward restful slumber rooted firmly within dreamland's gentle arms. This is just the beginning. The doorway opened wide enough so that no matter how restless or weary you've been during daylight hours, here is a place where stories come alive quietly, and where sleep begins softly under moonlit shadows guiding every step toward peaceful rest. Chapter 2. Whispered Stories in Stillness. The Midnight Library was a place unlike any other, a sanctuary of quiet magic that existed between the realms of waking and dreaming. As the clock struck 12, the heavy oak doors slowly swung open with a gentle creak, revealing an interior bathed in silvery moonlight. The glow filtered through Gothic windows adorned with intricate tracery, casting delicate shadows that danced softly across towering bookshelves. Each shelf was filled to overflowing with books, ancient tomes and newer volumes alike, each whispering stories only for those willing to listen. The scent of old paper and leather bindings wafted through the air, comforting and familiar like a warm blanket on a cold night. It was as if time itself paused here, allowing stories from worlds beyond to quietly come alive in this enchanted space. The library's atmosphere was hushed but alive with subtle energy. Every book seemed to hum softly, waiting patiently for someone curious enough to hear its tale. As you stepped inside, your footsteps barely disturbed the silence. You might feel drawn toward cozy alcoves nestled among the shelves or linger near flickering candle sconces where small pools of warm light beckoned. This was a place where stories did not shout or demand attention. They whispered gently into the stillness, inviting you into their quiet worlds. Walking along winding aisles, you could feel each book's presence as if they were old friends sharing secrets in hushed tones. Some volumes seemed to lean closer as you approached, like they had been waiting just for you, to tell their stories softly into your ear. A volume about a peaceful meadow might whisper of gentle breezes rustling through tall grass. Another about rain on cobblestones might murmur tales of soothing drops falling in rhythmic patter. In this library's stillness, every story found its voice, a gentle murmur rather than loud narration, creating an atmosphere that relaxed rather than roused. It wasn't about excitement or adventure at this moment, but about feeling enveloped by calmness and comfort. Here, stories were not hurried but delivered at a pace meant to soothe and relax. Sometimes you'd find yourself pausing before an open volume resting on a reading desk or nestled within plush armchairs upholstered in soft fabrics that seemed almost alive with quiet warmth. When you settled into one of these spaces, arms supported by cushions thick enough to cradle your tired limbs, the whispers grew softer yet deeper. Each book had its own way of sharing its tale. Some spoke in gentle flows like flowing water, others offered subtle hints woven into poetry, some simply radiated calmness through their very presence, a glow so faint it felt more like an aura than actual light. These glowing volumes seemed almost alive themselves, a luminous serenity emanating from within their pages, to draw readers into peaceful reverie. As your eyes traced over titles shimmering softly under candlelight or glowing faintly in moonbeams filtering through stained glass windows, it became clear that these volumes were designed not just to tell stories but to guide the reader gently toward tranquility and restfulness. In this moment within the Moonlit Library's silent embrace, time slowed down further still, and all around you drifted whispers from countless tales told quietly in harmony like a lullaby sung by many voices at once but heard as one soothing chorus. These whisperings often carried themes familiar yet timeless, fields bathed in golden sunlight where flowers swayed lazily, rain pattering softly on cobblestone streets late at night, cozy hearths crackling with warmth while snow fell silently outside windows, each story offering comfort wrapped tightly around your mind like a favorite blanket on chilly evening. Many books appeared to be more than mere words. They radiated what could only be called inner light, as if infused with tranquility itself. These glowing volumes beckoned gently from shelves nearby or rested invitingly on tables designed for peaceful reading, spaces where one could lose themselves effortlessly amid soft illumination and common narratives. And so here at midnight, the hour when dreams begin, the library whispered its secrets quietly, stories woven together like threads forming an intricate tapestry of peace and serenity. Every whisper lured listeners deeper into relaxation until they almost felt part of these tranquil worlds, a gentle invitation into restful sleep awaiting just beyond reach yet close enough to touch with mind and heart alike. In this sacred space between waking hours and dreaming realms, listening closely meant surrendering worries along each whispering breath, a slow descent guided by soft voices telling tales meant not merely for entertainment but for easing burdens away until only calm remains, pure silence filled with whispers that soothe, as delicate as moonbeams fading into dawn, and prepare us all for what comes next, restful sleep born from quiet storytelling under moonlit skies. Chapter 3. Discovering Glowingly Gentle Volumes. The moon hung low in the velvety sky, casting a silvery glow over the ancient grounds of the Moonlit Library. Its towering stone walls and Gothic windows seemed to shimmer under the gentle light, as if the building itself was alive with quiet magic. The heavy oak doors, carved with intricate symbols and swirling patterns, awaited those who sought refuge within. As midnight struck softly across the land, its chime echoing like a gentle heartbeat, the doors swung open with a slow, deliberate creak. Inside, an air of calm enveloped everything. The scent of old paper mingled with faint traces of leather bindings and aged parchment, a nostalgic aroma that seemed to wrap around visitors like a warm blanket. Tall bookshelves stretched toward unseen heights, their dark wood surfaces gleaming faintly in the dim glow of lanterns hung from ornate iron brackets. Shadows danced across the aisles as flickering candlelight flickered and bowed before an unseen breeze. In this enchanted place, time slowed down. Stories had their own quiet rhythm here. It was a sanctuary for those seeking peace, an oasis where tales came alive gently in whispers rather than shouts, where each book held its secrets close and revealed them only when one was truly ready. As you wandered through this hushed haven, your footsteps muffled by plush rugs woven with subtle patterns reminiscent of moon phases or star charts, you felt drawn toward certain volumes that seemed to beckon softly. Some books appeared to glow faintly from within, subtle radiance emanating through their covers or pages as if they contained gentle inner light meant solely for calming minds weary from waking life. You reached out hesitantly at first and traced your fingers along one such volume's textured spine. Its cover shimmered softly under your touch, a soothing luminescence reminiscent of dawn's first light filtering through clouds after a storm. You gently lifted it from its place. It felt warm somehow, as if infused with tranquility, and settled into your hands effortlessly. Finding an inviting armchair nearby, plush yet firm, you eased yourself into its comforting embrace. Surrounding you were more glowing volumes arranged neatly on shelves that curved around like protective arms embracing you in quiet reassurance. The library's atmosphere invited stillness. There was no rush here, only peaceful anticipation. You opened the glowing book slowly. Its pages radiated soft warmth against your palms as you turned them carefully. Words appeared not as sharp ink but as gentle impressions on delicate paper, lines flowing smoothly like water over stones or clouds drifting lazily across a twilight sky. Within these pages were stories crafted not just to entertain but to soothe, to nurture restful dreams before sleep even began. Tales about peaceful meadows bathed in moonlight where fireflies danced silently among the sleepy flowers. Stories of rain gently tapping on cobblestone streets while distant thunderstorms hummed lullabies. Accounts of cozy fireplaces crackling softly beneath blankets spun from stars themselves, all designed to ease wandering minds into calmness. As you read, or perhaps simply listened, the words seemed to fade into whispers rather than loud voices, tender murmurs that brushed against your consciousness like a cool breeze caressing skin on a warm night. Each story whispered its truth quietly. Relax, they said gently, let go. Their voices intertwined seamlessly into what could be called a soft symphony, a lullaby composed by countless tales blending together harmoniously. The symphony did not shout or demand attention but flowed naturally around you, like streams converging into tranquil lakes or melodies merging into one calming tune played slowly on harp strings strung with silver stardust. The narrative voices wove together effortlessly, scenes painted softly in mind's eye, meadows shimmering under moonlight, rain pattering soothingly on rooftops while windows glowed warmly below, and all merged into one seamless experience designed solely for relaxation. Your eyelids grew heavier despite your desire to stay awake longer because these stories weren't meant to keep watchful eyes alert. They were crafted precisely for winding down mind and body alike toward restful sleep. Their gentle voices became almost inaudible now, as if fading away just beyond reach, that final whisper inviting surrender without resistance. In this moment between wakefulness and dreams, the boundary blurred. You sensed yourself sinking deeper into comfort, wrapped in silence punctuated only by faint echoes of whispered tales now dissolving like mist at dawn's first light, a transition so smooth it felt inevitably yet peaceful beyond words. The glow from these luminous volumes persisted briefly before gradually dimming further, not because their magic faltered but because their purpose had been fulfilled, guiding tired souls toward serenity through storytelling so tender it became part of sleep itself. And so within this sacred space, the Moonlit Library, you found refuge once again, not merely reading about rest but being carried along by stories that knew exactly how much is enough, that whispered lullaby guiding every visitor gently onward until finally slipping beneath the surface into deep slumber. Chapter 4, a dreamlike symphony of soft voices. As the clock chimed softly, marking the midnight hour, the doors of the Moonlit Library swung open with a gentle creak. The air outside was cool and still, illuminated by a silvery moon that cast shimmering pools of light across the ancient stones. Inside, the space was alive with quiet magic, an enchanted sanctuary where stories drifted through the air like whispers on a breeze. You step cautiously across polished wooden floors that gleam under faint candlelight, your footsteps muffled by plush rugs that feel soft beneath your feet. Beyond towering shelves that stretch into shadowy heights, delicate chandeliers flicker faintly, their candles casting warm pools of glow. The scent of old paper and leather bindings rises gently, familiar and comforting, as if inviting you to settle into this timeless realm. The library is alive with hushed voices, soft murmurs that seem to come from the very books themselves. As you move deeper into this sanctuary of stories, you realize that each volume holds more than words. It contains a gentle glow, a quiet radiance emanating from its pages or cover that beckons you closer. Your gaze falls upon a glowing volume resting on a carved oak table near an alcove filled with cozy armchairs. Its light pulses softly like a heartbeat, a calming glow that invites calmness and peace. You reach out carefully and lift it into your hands. Its cover feels warm beneath your fingertips as if infused with gentle warmth itself. Settling into one of the plush chairs nearby, you open this luminous tome. Instantly, you are transported, not through sudden flashes or loud sounds but through subtle shifts in atmosphere, the way soft curtains sway in an evening breeze or how distant rain taps gently on window panes. The story begins not with words shouted aloud but whispered softly within these glowing pages, stories so tender they seem to breathe quietly just below consciousness, tales of peaceful meadows blanketed into at dawn, rain falling softly on cobblestone streets while lanterns flicker in the mist, cozy fireplaces crackling as snow falls silently outside windows. Each book seems to emit its own unique whisper, some more hushed than others, but all share one common purpose, soothing your mind and easing tension. You notice how these glowing volumes seem almost alive. They pulse gently when approached, their radiance synchronized with your breathing as if they recognize your desire for serenity. As you listen closely, for even silence here carries meaning, you realize these whispers are not loud but rather delicate melodies woven from countless stories intertwining seamlessly like threads in an intricate tapestry. They blend together effortlessly, one story's gentle rain merging smoothly into another's whispering wind, meadow flowers swaying gently before transforming into crackling firewood warming cold evenings. It's as if time itself has slowed within this enchanted space, a place where stories do not compete for attention but harmonize perfectly to lull listeners into tranquil relaxation. The environment encourages surrender, to close eyes or simply breathe deeply, and let these soft voices wash over you like a warm tide washing ashore after a long voyage. In this moment, every detail contributes to a profound sense of calm, shadows dancing lazily along walls cast by flickering candle flames, faint rustlings from neighboring shelves as other books shift slightly in their slumber, even the slight weightlessness felt when holding one of these glowing volumes, the feeling that you're cradling something fragile yet infinitely comforting. You become aware that each whisper is crafted deliberately, not just words but waves of soothing sound designed to ease worries and bring peace anew. Their melodies weave through your thoughts gently yet persistently, reminding you that here is safe space built solely for restfulness and renewal. The more immersed you become in these harmonious blends, the mingling of peaceful meadow stories alongside gentle rains, the easier it becomes to relax completely. Your breath slows naturally, muscles loosen without effort because within this luminous sanctuary, there's no need for struggle or resistance, only surrendering fully to serenity offered freely by every whispering volume around you. Time begins to dissolve as these glowing stories continue their quiet symphony, each note contributing toward an overarching lullaby meant solely for sleep's sweet embrace. You might find yourself drifting between awareness and dreaming, carried effortlessly on waves of soft voices blending seamlessly together until distinctions fade away entirely. In such moments, even amid shimmering shadows and fading candlelight, you realize how profoundly powerful silence can be when filled with tender whispers crafted expressly for tranquility. Here lies an extraordinary harmony, a place where stories do not shout but murmur calmly enough to guide weary minds toward restful sleep without force or fuss. As exhaustion gently settles over you like a velvet blanket woven from countless peaceful tales, consider how this enchanted library offers more than mere refuge. It provides passageways woven directly from whispered dreams toward deep slumber's welcoming arms. It's an invitation extended quietly across time, a promise. Within these glowing volumes embrace lies not only comfort but also transformation, from wakefulness teetering on edge toward restful awakening beyond sleep itself. And so immersed are you now in this dreamlike symphony, that subtle blend of whispers guiding every breath, that soon even consciousness begins slipping away gracefully, leaving behind only lingering traces of serenity, as if carried off softly by unseen wings toward realms painted in tranquil hues far beyond what words can describe. Chapter 5: Fading Light and Whispering Shadows. As midnight's quiet embrace settles over the ancient Moonlit Library, a gentle stillness begins to fill the air. The towering shelves, carved from dark, weathered oak, seem to lean closer in the dim light, their shadows stretching softly across the polished marble floors. Outside, the moon hangs high and luminous in a velvet sky, casting silvery beams through Gothic windows that are stained with intricate patterns of glass. The light dances across the room in slow, shimmering waves, illuminating dust motes that drift lazily like tiny stars caught in a gentle web. The heavy oak doors stand firm at the entrance, as silent guardians of secrets and stories, waiting patiently for those who seek refuge here as night deepens. As midnight strikes softly on an unseen bell somewhere within these hallowed halls, a subtle magic stirs. A faint glow begins to emanate from between the shelves, not bright or harsh but tender and inviting, like a whisper of warmth in the cold night air. Inside this enchanted place, time seems to slow down. The scent of old paper and leather bindings fills every breath with nostalgia and comfort. It's as if each book holds not just words but memories, stories spun long ago by authors whose voices echo faintly in this timeless space. Every corner offers a promise, stories waiting quietly to be rediscovered or told anew under moonlight's watchful eye. As you step further into this realm of quiet wonder, you notice how softly everything seems to breathe around you, the muted rustle of pages turning themselves when no one is looking, the delicate flicker of candle flames that cast dancing shadows on walls lined with ancient tomes, the faint hum of an unseen lullaby carried by unseen currents through hidden passageways. The library itself seems aware that it is nearing its most sacred hour, the moment when stories gently fade into dreams and shadows deepen into slumber. Here at this threshold between wakefulness and sleep, each detail feels imbued with serenity. Even your own footsteps fall softer now as if made from feathers rather than flesh. Your breathing slows naturally without effort or thought. In this moment before true rest takes hold, a moment suspended between waking memory and dreamscape, the fading light becomes both literal and metaphorical. Moonbeams wane gradually as clouds drift silently across their path. Whispers among books grow softer still until they are almost inaudible, mere breathings carried away by gentle breezes through open windows. Yet despite this diminishing radiance, and perhaps because of it, the library remains imbued with an unspoken promise that all is well here within its shadowed halls, that sleep will come gently when time allows it, and that these whispered stories serve as comforting guides into restful slumber. As darkness deepens outside beyond Gothic panes, black velvet punctuated by twinkling stars, the internal glow persists faintly within some volumes along the shelf's upper reaches. These glowing books emit a soft luminescence reminiscent not only of fairy tales or dreamscapes but also of peace itself, a calmness so profound it beckons like an inviting hand reaching out from beneath layers of velvet night. The atmosphere grows increasingly tranquil as shadows stretch longer across marble floors, corners grow quieter, even distant echoes seem hushed into silence by some invisible hand guiding them away from disturbance. It's almost as if all creation has slowed its pace just enough for dreams to take root safely amid these sacred walls, that no noise can disturb what is about to unfold, a journey inward toward restful sleep. The flickering candles now burn lower, each flame trembling slightly like heartbeats slowing, and their golden glow wanes along with remaining traces of moonlight filtering through stained glass windows now veiled behind drifting clouds. Soon enough, even these feeble lights will surrender entirely to night's embrace, softening each edge until only shadows remain, a perfect lullaby woven quietly into every crackling whisper left lingering among shelves full of silent witnesses. And yet amid this fading tableau, a delicate balance persists between presence and absence, between wakefulness lingering like dew upon blades of grass at dawn and sleep beckoning just beyond reach, a realm where stories dissolve gently into whispers carried on currents too subtle for words but perfect for dreams yet unformed. In these final moments before complete surrender, to being carried away on wings woven from moonlight and shadow, the library offers one last gift, serenity born from knowing everything here rests peacefully within infinite layers of quietude. A sanctuary where whispers guide hearts toward tranquil slumber under starry skies and where every shadow holds promises not just forgotten tales but also eternal peace awaiting those willing simply to listen and let go into restful sleep beyond even memories reach. Chapter 6, Journey into Restful Sleep. As the night deepened, the moonlight outside the ancient library waned, casting long, gentle shadows that danced across the towering shelves. Inside, a quiet transformation was unfolding, a subtle fading of light and sound that signaled the arrival of sleep. The glow from the glowing volumes had dimmed to a soft shimmer, and even the whispers of stories seemed to soften into a lullaby only partially heard. The library's shadows grew more diffuse, like gentle waves ebbing across a still lake. The flickering candles in cozy alcoves burned lower now, their warm glow flickering faintly before eventually surrendering to darkness. A peaceful hush settled over everything. It was as if the very air was drawing inwards, readying for quiet rest. In this moment, it felt as though time itself slowed down. The boundary between waking and sleeping blurred. Each shadow and whisper became part of an unspoken invitation to relax completely and drift away into peaceful slumber. The stories that once echoed softly within these walls now seemed to recede into memory, fading like shimmering stars at dawn. The gentle dimming of light created an environment where every detail felt softer, more tender. Even the quiet rustle of pages turning had become less distinct. Instead, it sounded like distant sighs or soft breezes passing through leaves. The library was no longer just a space filled with stories, but an enchanted sanctuary guiding one gently toward rest. A faint breeze stirred through open windows high above, a whisper of cool air carrying with it delicate scents of old paper and leather bindings mingled with traces of jasmine from distant gardens. This aroma was comforting, familiar yet subtly different from ordinary surroundings, deepening relaxation further. In this serene atmosphere, a figure might sit comfortably in an armchair upholstered in plush velvet or settle onto a soft rug woven with intricate patterns. Their eyes could close naturally as awareness gently dissolves into stillness, a state where thoughts drift away as easily as clouds floating across a twilight sky. Throughout this transition, the whispers from earlier stories persisted but became even fainter, like lullabies sung by unseen voices beyond reach yet always present enough to soothe. These whispers wove together into an unbroken tapestry, gentle rain tapping softly on cobblestones, crackling firelight casting warm glows on welcoming faces, fields stretching endlessly under starlit skies, all converging into one harmonious melody that beckoned sleepy minds deeper still. As sleep approached fully now, the point where consciousness begins to fade, the library's magic continued its tender work without effort or force. It knew how delicate this moment was, how important it is for restful sleep to come naturally rather than be forced or hurried. Gradually, even these whispers grew quieter until they were but faint echoes within one's mind, a soothing hum blending seamlessly with breathing rhythms growing slower and deeper. In this tranquil space between wakefulness and dreams, the threshold where imagination dissolves into subconscious comfort, the library gently cradles each visitor inward. And then, without warning or sound, a final wave of serenity washed over all present. It's as if midnight itself exhaled softly, and in doing so released everyone into their own personal dreamscape. Here lies the true magic, not merely in storytelling but in creating an environment so peaceful that slipping into restful sleep becomes inevitable, not something forced but naturally occurring like dawn after night's darkness or spring after winter's chill. In these last moments within the Moonlit Library, whispered sleep story, each person is carried effortlessly from conscious thought into deep repose by fading moonlight's touch and hushed voices echoing just beyond reach, guides leading gently toward dreams filled with calmness and renewal. And so it ends, not with abruptness but with grace, the journey from awakeness through whispering shadows, to restful sleep wrapped securely in silent serenity, until morning's first light awakens anew, refreshed, renewed, ready for new stories yet to be told beneath tomorrow's sun.